I call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's July 16, 2022 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of the public body. This meeting of the Select Board will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting in person, or for those who wish to do so remotely. For those who are not in person, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the town, Berkshire Edge, Berkshire Eagle, and other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. We'll start with the approval of minutes of December 5th and December 19th, 2022.
I'm abstaining on one, so if you could do them
Okay,
separate.
start with December 5th.
I make a motion to approve the December 5th, 2022 minutes.
A second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And abstention,
Abstaining, I
one
wasn't here.
abstention, so it's 4 in favor. December 19th.
I make a motion to accept the December 19th, 2022 minutes.
Second, but I have a
Yeah.
question. 6B, I think that's select board announcements. I had asked Mark about the short-term rental 3% impact fee and whether it was collected directly through DOR. And I'm not sure this is what you said. It could have been. Do you want me to read this says you said it was collected through Department of Revenue, but you clarified if it's directly from the host or the third party side. Is that? I thought you weren't certain.
I wasn't certain at
Okay.
that time.
So this isn't exactly what, in other words, this sounds like you get, if you are certain and this is correct, then we can probably leave it. Otherwise,
No, he had said, I remember that.
He wasn't sure.
said that He wasn't certain, so
right,
why don't we just pass over these minutes,
Okay.
and we'll correct that.
all right,
So you withdraw your motion and you withdraw your second, and
Yes.
we'll fix that before the next meeting.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, 6B is announcements.
Select board's announcement statements, Garfield,
Nothing, man.
Eric,
Just want to wish everybody a happy, healthy new year.
thank you. Ed,
Nothing.
Lee,
One thing, the housing subcommittee is meeting tomorrow at 11 a.m. You are all welcome.
thank you. I have nothing. I'm going to move one thing up on the agenda. Under new business 7B, the letter honoring Dr. May Edwards Tim. Bernie, would you like to speak, please?
Right. The fact that a Great Barrington born woman for 4 or 5 years was piano accompanist to the singer Paul Robeson is reason enough for celebration. But in fact, May Edward Chin went on to remarkable accomplishments in the field of medicine. We either outlined in a proposed letter that's reported. She was born on Church Street. The house is no longer standing. She's of African American, Caucasian, and Chickahominy heritage. Her family was not well to do, and they moved to New York when she was about 3 years old. But her parents and herself worked so hard to get her through school. She ended up having 2 medical degrees. She founded a clinic for the poor in Harlem. She did a whole bunch of fascinating things. There's a committee of retired educators from Brooklyn and Manhattan who are working toward Edward Chin appearing on a United States Post Office Black Heritage stamp. And there's been a street just last fall in Manhattan named for Dr. Chin. Various universities have celebrated her. Governor of New York State has signed a proclamation marking her achievements. And so this request is simply that these three of the members of this committee came to visit us in November. And Dr. Francis Jones Sneed, retired from NCLA, and I hosted them, and we had a nice discussion. And we're doing small things to promote her achievements. There'll be a small exhibit at Mason Library in February, for example. So it's just a request that you endorse their efforts. It takes several years. Seems worthwhile.
Thank you, Bernie. Do you have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to honor Dr. May Edwards Chin, as Bernie Drew had just mentioned. Thank you so much.
Second.
Yeah, so the motion is to request that Dr. Chin be honored on a Black Heritage U.S. commemorative postage stamp. So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's
you.
unanimous. Thank you for bringing this forward to us. Thank you, Bernie.
We'll have a letter drafted in the folder this week.
Okay, perfect. Town manager's report.
Okay, I have a list of updates to share with you tonight, starting off with Houstonic Waterworks. I submitted the application for the economic development earmark to DEP a few weeks ago, and we can expect those funds to hit our account in about 16 weeks is the timeline on the application. So the appraisal of the Houstonic Waterworks system is still underway, but as of today, Houstonic Waterworks has not given our consultants permission to inspect their facility. So we'll keep working on that and trying, update you along the way.
Okay, I have a hand up. Let me just see if it's a process. Barbara Motz, do you have something about Houstonic Waterworks?
No, I'm sorry, it was just by mistake.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, winter roads, the winter storm that hit us over the Christmas holiday weekend.
Before you go, Eric, or something.
So I just, while we're on Housatonic Water, I know this, we haven't discussed the funds and how we're gonna spend them, but I was wondering if we can maybe just test out possibilities, put a request in to the Housatonic Post Office to see about if we were to go with a water filtration system or a refill station, if they would be willing to host it there since it's a central location. Just to start the conversation.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Yeah, I mean, what Eric's asking is not to endorse it, but just to start the process rolling.
Yeah, just see if it's even a possibility since it's central and there's a ton of lobby is open the most, a heated space, so.
So I guess, could we also look at the Houstonic, who's he done too? You look at that foyer
Yeah,
as well, since.
yeah, to secure that situation.
I'm just
yeah.
thinking for a federal building, it might be hard to.
Yeah,
to get
it's probably a
access to
long
those
shot, but I
offices.
was just thinking it, since it's so
Yeah.
centrally located, if they'd be
Get
willing.
places like the Houston, at least we, we own that, we have more access in the
Yep.
foyer, and it's warm and. Maybe look at two
Two
options.
spots, sounds good to me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
So we'll look into both. We'll get a letter off to the Houstonic postmaster, and I'll also connect with Joe Aberdale and see what it would take to utilize the Houston. That's the second option. So getting back to my updates, winter roads, the winter storm that hit us over the holiday weekend, the Christmas weekend, was obviously a difficult one for a number of reasons. We experienced some pretty heavy rains. We had a 45-degree temperature drop in a relatively short period of time, followed by snow. We had a few staff members out. We had a truck down. But our road crew did meet after that storm. We recognized that we had a problem there, and our road crew met. They evaluated what worked what didn't work, and I'm confident that we'll be better prepared for the next storm. So I just wanted to let you know we're working on that internally.
And just to piggyback on, if I may, you know, heads up, or, you know, actually accolades to the DWP, because I think they did a really good job, and I was actually contacted by the Pittsfield City Councilor, and they were having similar problems, and
Yeah.
so I think it, you know, it was more of a regional thing. It wasn't just Great Barrington, they were having quite difficulty,
That
so,
was the challenge.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to the group.
Not to mention that thank you for working Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Pass
Yeah.
that along, so. Moving on to Houstonic School, Chris is working on the purchase and sale agreement with our town council now. So that's on track to be completed by the 45-day deadline of February 2nd. And Complete Streets Grant Award. I know this was covered by our local media outlets, but for anyone that missed it, I just wanted to recognize Chris for his efforts to secure over $300,000 in Complete Street sidewalk and bus stop improvements over on West Ave and Lewis Ave. So nice work, Chris. Thank you. He is on the line tonight. And my last update before I pass it off to Chief Story is to just remind everyone that the window for citizens petitions opened on Tuesday the 3rd and closes on Tuesday, February 1st for annual town meeting. That's all I have.
I just promoted the chief.
So the chief's gonna update you on a few happenings at the police department, our accreditation status and our new parking ticket program.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Happy New Year, everybody. I was wondering if I have Kara also on. She's an important part of one of the updates I want to bring to you. So I was wondering if we could add her also.
Yeah, just did it.
While she's logging out, I'll give you a quick update on the parking ticket program that I asked for your support a few months back. So I want to thank you for that. It's worked out really, really well. We're 100% active with it. All our parking enforcement have been trained and our officers have been trained with it, the new digital format. We are using the handheld devices, which seems to expedite the process and really makes it a lot easier for the parking tickets to be issued, but more importantly, the tracking. Plymouth County, who is processing the tickets, actually have gone back and sent out notifications for people that are delinquent or have been delinquent with paying their parking fines in the past, and they're trying to collect those funds for us. And then moving forward, this new process, like I said, it's in compliance with the law. It's much more efficient and it's a lot easier to track. So that's doing really, really well. And like I said, I thank you for your support and seeing my optimism that this is going to help resolve some of our parking processing issues that we were dealing with. Secondly, it's a quick update on the new hires. We actually have hired 5 new officers and they're currently doing some dispatch training right now. Hopefully it's springtime academy date start. So I'm really excited that we were able to offer our own exam, establish a list of almost 10 officers or 10 candidates, I should say. And from that, we were able to select 5. Our current civil service list that we had prior to making this change, we didn't have anybody on it. So by doing that was a big move, very important move. And it just, this shows the that it was definitely the right thing for our community. Lastly, update on accreditation. So I'm sure everybody's aware. I tried to make everybody aware that we were in the accreditation process this past fall. This will be our 3rd accreditation. For those people who don't know what accreditation is, it's an independent state agency that develops professional standards for police agencies. That's policies and procedures, physical plant, equipment, all sorts of things they look at and they evaluate. More importantly is you can have the policies in place, but they check to make sure that you're in compliance with your policy, that you're following the policies, that your agency is doing what your policy says, that you're meeting these high levels, these high standards of policing. So we had our third accreditation, which would be our initial one. Then we have, this would be our second accreditation, our reaccreditation. And it was headed by Kara Becker. Kara did an outstanding job as the accreditation manager. We had over 326 standards that we had to be in compliance with. And in addition to Kara's hard work, the command staff all pitched in, and every officer. So it's not just us showing that, no, we're doing what we're doing. It's actually a team effort. It's everybody in the department maintaining this high level, showing that we're doing what we're supposed to do. Joe Averdale and Steve Larkin and his team came on board to make sure the building was in shape. The officers pitched in where they needed to be. The command staff was there every day of it, helping out, showing that we're deserving of this award. So I'm really excited that we got through it with almost no corrections. We call it corrections. There's something that the state addresses that they want to see changed or fixed, or if you're not doing something correctly. We only had 4 minor, we'll call them corrections. I won't even say that. It was, I think, 4 different things that we had to change a word or 2 in a sentence in our policies. That's how well prepared Kara had us for this process. So it was outstanding work by Kara. So I really want to recognize Kara, the command staff, all the officers, the Joe's and his staff. Everybody pitched in to make this process actually flawless. I'll say flawless. The accreditation team, the assessment team that came in is comprised of 4 independent people from the state that are certified and trained to do these evaluations. Some of them are retired chiefs, some are active chiefs or police officer, command staff. They come in and they just look at your agency from top to bottom with a fine-tooth comb. And they were so amazed at how prepared we were and how well we did. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware the work that Kara did, getting the team together, getting all the policies together, and just really doing a fantastic job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Question?
Chief.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they're gone.
Who's
What is he? I don't see him
Yeah.
anymore.
Is it Chief?
Are we still one of the very few departments in the county?
We are the
that has
only,
this?
we are the only
I was-
department in Berkshire County that's even attempted this.
Good,
Level.
just giving you a chance to brag. Thank you.
Yeah, we're the only ones, and it's not an easy task. And if you've gone through it, Kara can tell you that's probably seen the work that has to go in it, the work behind the scenes to maintain and to get the certification. It's hard. It's a lot.
This is the 3rd time.
This is our 3rd time. Yes.
Yeah.
So we got certified, which is a lower level. I think it's 125 standards you have to meet. And we did that many years ago. And then we got, it was probably 9 years ago now, we got the full accreditation. And this is our 2nd reaccreditation. And with the police, go ahead, Ed.
Go ahead. I was just thanking you and thanking Kara.
Well, you're welcome. With police reform, they've actually added a new build, we'll call it a build. Kara, maybe you can, the wording, the verbiage I'm using isn't correct, but they've added additional layers to the next time we do it. So they're adding new post-related policies and procedures that we have to have in place for the next time. So it's even going to be slightly more challenging next time we do it.
Hey, Chief, I just have a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. Go ahead, Garfield.
Thank you. Great job. Appreciate the work and Kara's efforts. The officers that we have now that you just hired, will they be going through all the sensitivity training, et cetera, before they hit the street, if you will?
Oh, absolutely. We actually, we're really fortunate. This is probably the first group of new officers that we've hired that we've actually been able to take our time and get them through the process slower and more efficiently. And we actually, Kara's got them signed up for the week-long crisis intervention training already. They've been to the 911. We have a whole bunch of all the trainings that we have had as far as around those issues, Garfield, they will be receiving. That's the nice thing about it is we have a software system called PMAM that tracks all of our trainings, and we can tell who does it. You know, Kara sends it out and they have to acknowledge that they've when they do it, she tracks it all, that they've had it. So we have a list of all the trainings that we do throughout the last few years, and we implement those trainings. And seeing as our academy doesn't start for another few months, we have the ability right now to get them that training ahead of time. So it's worked out really, really well. We're not rushing through anything. We're taking our time. If somebody may take a little bit longer to understand something, we have that time frame to do it. So I'm really pleased with this. It's like a new thing we came up with the last few months between Mark, myself, and Sophia and Kara and the command staff. We all work together to kind of find a way to be more prepared for this group coming in.
Thank you.
Here, go ahead.
Just since we have you on, congratulations, Kara and Chief Sorty and everyone in the GBPD. Great work. Two questions. One is about the parking ticket program, since you have the tracking ability, or, you know, more so. For out-of-state vehicles that get parking tickets, do you have a sense of like the breakdown, and not to put you on the spot that you would know exactly how that breakdown is, but do you have a sense of, you know, what that breakdown is between residents and out of state, and how do we track out of state violations, and can we follow those out? Or I'm a bit naive in terms of that.
So the out of state, like you said, if a vehicle's registered out of state and they get a parking ticket and they don't pay it,
Yeah.
that's a little bit more challenging. We don't have as much ability, influence to notify the registry and have any type of consequence attached to their renewal of registration and or operator's license.
Do we have a sense of how many were, you know, are falling through the loop or whatever because of that? Or, I mean,
well, we're relatively new to this, so it's
Yeah.
what the nice thing about this program is I actually get a daily sheet that says who, you know, the tickets that were issued. And, you know, through the holidays, we didn't have a lot just because the time we weren't timing and things like that. But as we move further along in this program, we get daily updates, we get monthly updates on, you know, the tickets that were paid, tickets that weren't paid. We have to hold the hearings within a 21-day period. So those tickets are going to be processed, and the disposition of those tickets, either guilty, not guilty, and or, you know, dispose of in some manner. We're going to know hopefully within that short time period, versus we used to only have a hearing or two a year, and, you know, it'd take months to resolve those. So this is a much more efficient way of doing it, and we're going to be able to track that information much easier. And I don't know if you saw it a few months ago, they actually, Plymouth County puts out a monthly newsletter, and in that it has the stats for each community that they manage. So you can kind of see where we fall into that realm.
Yeah, so I would love to maybe, you know, once we get deeper into it, to see kind of how we are with analytics and how many are out of state, and you know, how much revenue will we potentially losing, and if there's something, because I, you know, not to pick on out of state, but you know, you see some cars double parked and you just wonder, you know.
Yeah.
Something that's kind of.
And to kind of to build off of that point, when you voted to adjust the fees, and we actually added the boot fee. And that's strictly the boot fee is for when we do identify a vehicle, say an out-of-state vehicle that is continually violating the parking and not paying their fines. We do have some legal authority to try to influence that person to pay those fines.
Oh, okay, that's great. My second follow-up question really quickly is body cams. I'm just wondering how that's working out now that you've had some time with that. Is that pretty smooth, or?
I would
any
say
issues?
that is outstanding. Every officer is really, really happy that we have it. I think it goes both ways. It's worked out really, really well. We're still working out the redaction part of it, and I'm not sure if that's gonna be an issue in the future. But so far, we've been able to manage it without any type of redaction software to help expedite that process. But I can just say it really brings to light so many different positive things as far as our interactions. It's a great tool for us to be able to look back and see, you know, how we interacted with somebody. Can we do better? Was it a positive reaction? It gives us a sense of, we had an incident where it was several people involved where, you know, the officer was dealing with a fight with involved a half dozen people, and, you know, there's so much going on. And even though he visually was there and saw certain things, some actions of people he didn't see. It was caught on the camera, but he
Oh,
had
interesting.
no visual recollection of that, of that situation. So being able to go back and look at it and say, oh, geez, you know what? It was so chaotic, I didn't see that. But now we have an actual recording of it, so we can sit back and process it and figure out what the appropriate way to manage that situation is. So,
Oh, interesting.
and as far as the public goes, they've been absolutely fantastic. So, you know, when we have an interaction with somebody, we let them know that, you know, this interaction is being recorded, and everybody's like, yep, that's okay. You know, I think it's just really to show a part of today's society that a lot of people just expect that. But this is, I think it's a great way. It's a great tool. It's a great learning tool. And I'm so glad that we have it. And like I said, our officers are. I think there's several other towns that are getting on board. New Marlboro, Sheffield already was. Dalton, I think, just recently did. I'm not sure if let me see, Dalton. I think Pittsfield is starting up. So there's several of them that are also doing it. And it's just a lot of value to it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Chief, thank you very much. We always appreciate your updates and your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 6 panelists and 29 attendees tonight. Licenses and permits. John Moritz, 141 North Plain Road for a driveway permit.
Jeff Collingwood is on the line. To represent.
Jeff, do you have anything you want to add to the application or?
Hi, Jeff Collingwood. I'm the engineer representing the Moritz property and their driveway proposal. It is a complex driveway. If you saw the plan, it's probably not your normal driveway plan or submission, but it's doable. And I tried to meet the town's bylaw to the best of my ability. The property is fortunate that at the front of the road, or the road between the property and the pavement, there's quite a bit of drainage already in place and paved waterways. There's a drop inlet in place. I think in the past, this may have been a problem area. That's why there's so much there. The intent of the project is to control it and still work within the drainage system that's there. And I've already talked about it, and you know, like I say, my plan probably shows the minimum, but as this is constructed and the site's opened up, I'll continue to evaluate if there's other measures that are needed to really control it and protect the roadway. So hope that's explains things well.
My one question is Chief Berger is recommended, and he can only recommend, he said, a sprinkler system for the house. Do you know if that is being considered?
Well, I basically default that to the building inspector, because that's a building permit requirement that might be imposed. It really comes down to that, to the building inspector implementing that, if it's absolutely required or not. I've made a pad basically for the fire engine where they come in and immediately can park, but it's still an elevation change in a distance that is still challenging for the firefighters from the chief's point of view. So I've maximized that position for an engine. But his recommendation still, in the event that they can't get to the top in time, is to put a fire sprinkler system in.
Do I have a motion?
I have a couple concerns. Do you want to wait for the motion first?
Yeah, I think we all.
Okay,
I make a motion to grant driveway permit to John Moritz of 141 North Main Road.
second.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, the risk to the surrounding area of a fire if there's not a sprinkler. And then a future buyer being aware of this, I don't know if something could be attached to the deed or something a lawyer would find.
Since we're issuing the driveway permit, I don't know if we can require a sprinkler or not.
Right,
I didn't think so. Yeah.
I
So
would,
I get-
could I just suggest that you make the recommendation or allow the chief's recommendation to float through? Because like I say, I think it really defaults to the building inspector.
So I suppose what we could do is to change the motion with a recommendation for a sprinkler system and ask the building inspector to be notified.
and plus the conditions listed by DPW.
Yes.
Which are all about drainage.
Yeah.
Then my only concern is a future buyer. Is there some way to get the fire chief's warning attached to the deed or some other way?
It will at least be in the file here on record. Somebody does their research.
Okay,
I don't know about the deed, that's a good question.
all right.
So let's, do you have more?
No,
I do.
Go ahead.
Just concerned, so they're saying that they might have a parking spot for the fire engine, but it's still a long distance away. That sounds like a problem to me. And also, I don't know if there's anyone who's going to have a responsibility for that. Is that gonna fall on the towns and we couldn't get there? So therefore, they might want to have an issue with us because we couldn't reach them. Even though this is their situation, who's gonna be responsible? I just don't think it's a good idea if you can't get to the place that's in a fire, even if you have a sprinkler system. It's not gonna cover the mess.
Well, if you have a sprinkler system, I think it will, but without that,
If they, like Garfield saying, if they didn't install the sprinkler system, the fire chief does park there on an icy bad day, where's the liability fall, right? I guess is what the concern is, right?
maybe we withdraw the motion and ask the building inspector to come before us. So see if he is inclined to require a sprinkler. If he is, that may make us more comfortable. If he's not, we may decline the permit.
Yeah, and also Chief Berger, I mean, I know we see
Yeah.
his thing, but have him here, maybe helpful.
Yeah, yeah. So let's, so if you want.
So, yeah.
It's a very good point. Yeah.
Hopefully our next meeting, if both Ed May and Chief Berger can make it, which our next meeting is the 23rd. Yeah, 23rd.
Can I make a comment?
Of course.
When I spoke to Chief Bergner, he had asked to be able to park within 75 feet of the building. We're 100 feet, so we're really only 25 feet. I mean, I just want to put it in perspective that we're not that far off, and it's not like it's a mile, we're 100 feet. So I asked the commission to, again, vote on it in a favorable way, just so we can move ahead, because we do have a contractor on board. And actually, with the more freezing conditions, it does allow us to do work on the site and control it better. In this situation, the freezing weather does work in our favor.
Question, Jeff, while you're there, you know, the tight switchbacks. And 12% grade, I mean, is there another way that you could do this, or is this the only way to do this?
It could be, you could, because I have a 10 and a 12%, I was trying to keep the 10% working as best as possible. The site could be more balanced, like the front of it would stay the same. We might flatten it a little bit in the beginning and then steepen it towards the first switchback. And then maybe steepen the grade a little bit there, maybe average it a little better between 10 and 12%. I mean, it really, there's no other solution. I can't lower the building without a major impact on the rear because it's an up slope. So we're already cutting like 4 or 5 feet on the back of the property or the back of the building. So I've lowered the house as much as I could to basically get these grades. And it does give us a little flexibility, but not, we're talking within a 1% grade that this could be averaged out.
Thank you, Jeff. If anyone wants to make a motion, that's fine. Otherwise, we will take this up on the 23rd. I'm not seeing any motion, so we will take this up on the 23rd. Okay, public hearing, community development block grant housing rehabilitation program. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second,
And roll call vote, Garfield,
All right,
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. So I assume,
I just went ahead and promoted Alice Boyd,
okay,
panelist.
just unmute yourself, Allison. You can give a description of this. Not sure whether or not.
I'm gonna try to send her an invite to.
I'm sending her a text right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, so my apologies. I'm going to start from the beginning here. My name is Alice Boyd, and I am the founder of Bailey Boyd Associates. We are a community development block grant specialty agency. We write and administer these grants across the Commonwealth. I actually have from Sandusfield and have been a selectman there, and we've been doing these grants out in the Berkshires for about 6 years. In your audience today is Dawn Lemon. She is the Housing Rehab Program Manager. Her office is right in Great Barrington. And we have an opportunity, and we had such a strong response. As you may recall, about 18 months ago, your board voted to participate in the Egremont Regional Community Development Block Grant, where we could offer housing rehabilitation to Great Barrington residents. And we have been inundated with applications. Dawn is doing a spectacular job. I'll let her talk a little bit about what she's doing out there. And then I can fill you in on this new grant opportunity. Dawn?
Hi, Alice.
Hello.
My name is Dawn Lemon, and I'm the housing rehab specialist, housing rehab manager, excuse me. And as Alice said, my office is right across the street above Tom's Toys. In the last year, which is FY20, we completed 12 projects in Great Barrington alone. And this year we have 9 in the works. And that's not including Monterey or Egremont, who is also in the grant. So it's a daily thing. This past week alone, I went to 2 houses in Great Barrington, an elderly couple, and then a single female head of household who couldn't get to the office. So I went there to help gather paperwork and see if they qualify for the program. So as Alice says, the phone calls just keep pouring in, and we're getting recommendations from BCAC and from other communities. So it's great.
All right, the grant, thank you, Dawn. The grant, just this year alone, I'll let you know that we're working with, we have 16 households participating. They are either extremely low or very low income. We're working with folks in Great Barrington, many from Housatonic, who are in tough shape financially, and we're just dealing with code violations, getting some lead paint out for households with young children primarily. But we're also working with getting just leaking roofs, broken furnaces, some very basics, but code violations to help people stay in their homes. And that's the purpose of this whole program. As I said, we've been doing this program for over 30 years. And we it does not cost the town a penny. That's, I think, probably the most important takeaway I can give you. We've offered to write the grant for you at no cost. And that's our traditional method. We write it at no cost. The town would go out to bid for a grant administrator. The RFP is a template from the funding source. And we'll bid, and you may have other bidders, and your only obligation is to hire the most qualified bidder. That's it. So you have no obligation to us. But our reputation has been terrific out in the Berkshires. And it's a labor of love. Dawn does a tremendous job. And with the opportunity of applying for $1.35 million just for Great Barrington residents, we're very excited because we're just getting the calls on a regular basis.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have questions as well.
Okay, first I'm gonna take public comment. Seeing no public comment, select board questions? You go ahead, Lee.
Thank you very much for this. This is very exciting. I had a process question. So Egremont, it's, can you just kind of explain how it works with, it's Egremont's program, but we're going into it. Like, I don't really understand how that works between the different towns and.
I can explain that. I'm glad to. This is a regional grant with Egremont. And so with Egremont, what we were initially concerned when we started working with Egremont is that we wouldn't have enough applicants for the program. It's a small town. And we were very pleasantly surprised. But we went in with an application for Egremont as the lead community and Great Barrington as a joint applicant. And the selectmen voted to participate and signed a form saying that you'd be a joint applicant. Right now, the units are split fairly evenly. I would say with Great Barrington, probably at this point, getting a little bit more than half of the units. But because we are also bringing in the town of Lee to the Egremont grant, so it made sense to have Great Barrington go out on their own. Chris has great experience with CDBG, as does Mark. They understand the programs. And we can get 1.35 million, which is more than we can usually get on one round because the CDBG program has been combined 2 grant years due to COVID and a backlog.
So we're going out on our own, meaning that we're not going to be with Egremont. They're not going to be the lead community, or is this?
That's correct. Great
Okay,
Barrington
gotcha.
would be the lead community for this particular grant.
So this is just our, okay. And then 1.35 million, is that pretty substantial for one community to?
Yeah, that's the maximum. And
Oh, that's-
normally it's 800,000. So
okay.
because they're combining the 2 grant years, it's an opportunity to really get some work done in the community.
Super. Okay.
Very well.
Thank you.
Barbara Motz, do you have a question or comment?
I'm sorry, my hand keeps going up for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Okay, I don't want to ignore you and not recognize you.
Okay, thank you.
It's okay, no problem. Anyone else from the select board?
Yes.
You go ahead, Garfield.
I don't know if this is gonna require a vote or anything, but I'm in that program. Dawn has done a fantastic job. So if there's something where it's gonna need a vote, I probably have to choose myself.
Okay, so you're recused. Then.
I
Thank
have
you.
one other question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm assuming this is all just homeowners. This isn't renters. So if there's a landlord that's, in violation of code, how does that work? I'm assuming it's just homeowners that qualify for this, or?
Actually, we can do both homeowners and landlords. We don't do many landlords. We're more than willing to because they're required to put a 15-year deed restriction on the unit that we repair. And the tenants are required to be low or moderate income, according to HUD. But yeah, we can definitely work with landlords.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. Do I have, we have 2 motions. Go ahead. First one.
I move to submit an FY 22/23 regional CDBG grant for housing rehabilitation and to authorize the town manager or designee to sign the grant application and associated forms.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Uh,
And I. It's unanimous. Next motion.
I move to allocate $29,708 from CDBG miscellaneous income account to use as a contingency for the FY 22-23 housing rehabilitation program.
Second,
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Next is the short-term rental license fee schedule. And it's on the executive summary from the staff. Mark, do you want to?
So, yeah, in your packet for tonight was an executive summary from staff on the fee schedule for our short-term rental bylaw. Our research showed that cities and towns were, they varied greatly in their approach to short-term rental fees. So many towns that we looked at charged nothing at all, and some were well into the hundreds. So anyway, our recommendation for tonight is nothing more than a conversation starter, a jumping off point. So, you know, again, just to get the conversation started. So this is what we thought was the best approach, but again, make it your own. Feel free to do what you'd like with it.
Discussion.
A couple of questions, issues. It's a registration fee, right? Not a community impact fee. So I'm wondering why we're charging more per person. The registration process doesn't cost us more if there's a capacity of 6 rooms versus, or 6 people versus 10 people. And same for whether it's owner occupied or not. I understand that may affect how much money people make. On the other hand, it may not. And we're not pinning it to how much they charge for a night. So I have a question with that, rather than just, this is what it costs to register to do an Airbnb. And then second concern, which I could do separately if you'd rather, is if we do it that way, it doesn't differentiate between someone who does this for a living or to make money to do it 150 days a year versus somebody who goes away for 2 weeks and wants to rent out their house to pay for their vacation. They would both pay the same, and could be hundreds of dollars. In that case, it could be a full night's rental of the 2 weeks they've got, which is likely to be just 4 nights. So those are my 2 concerns with this. A final one being it raises, your estimate was $40,000. Mine is different. I don't know how many, I thought we thought there were over 200 Airbnbs. Right, what are we figuring the number?
Yeah, we should be in the 200, 220 range, but again, some of those will be just a bedroom in a,
Right.
you know, an extra bedroom in somebody's primary residence.
If we're raising 40,000 when so far the cost is 18,000 for the compliance company. So those are the concerns I have. The first 2 more important than the third, because I know there'll be other costs.
Anyone else?
Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I guess I just, as far as the occupancy fee too, I'm not opposed to either of these fees, I guess, now that this is in place, but I almost feel that it would be easier if we just put a flat base fee of $250 or something, you know, we pick a number. I think my concern would be with the occupancy fee is that people are gonna advertise for less room space and then more people are gonna show up. I think that's pretty much what happens anyhow on Airbnb, you know, the people fill into when it's advertised for 4. So I think it's just a little more of a paperwork issue for town staff than anything else. And then the differential with the dwelling unit surcharge or not, I don't know. I guess just for ease of paperwork, I would think it would be easier just to say the 300 or 250. And I would, and with the 40,000 fee, even if it is more than the thing, I guess we still need to figure out how much time it's gonna be for town staff too, so.
Yeah,
I would rather it cover the whole basis and then some, you know, it fall back on other taxpayers, so. That's really my.
And I would agree with you on that. I think the 18,000 is just for the company we hired. There's a whole bunch of expenses that we have, you know, town, Mark has worked on this. Chris has worked on this, and there's gonna be building inspector
if you figure 225 times 175, you get 39,375, which is pretty close to the 40,000. If you want to go with a flat fee.
And some communities do have a flat fee, that wasn't our option, we were just trying to make it a little, we were trying to distinguish between somebody renting an extra bedroom and somebody with a 10-bedroom house. And that's why we started.
Right, I guess I'm wondering why, since this is a registration fee and not a community impact fee.
I mean, I think this is a great jumping off point, so thanks for your research, you know, to you and Chris. I'm comfortable with this. I can see that we definitely want to make sure we cover everything. I know the staff time is a big part of it. And with your example of someone renting one room versus a 10-bedroom house, you know, I think this is fair, seeing that the average daily rental falls between $350 to $450 a night. I think we're really only talking about one night of someone. So, I'd rather play safe, and I think it's gonna, this is gonna be tweaked anyways. Not, that's just probably the whole bylaw could be, but I think this is a good jumping off point just to make sure that we cover our costs. And I do know that there's startups. So for me, I think this is a good jumping off point. I'm comfortable with this.
So I would just have someone pointed out to me that if we adopt this, we change the wording from primary residence to owner, because that matches the bylaw. So whatever we do, we should do that. This is the first year of doing this, so I'm not uncomfortable with either, because I think the end results is still how we're gonna collect somewhere around $40,000, which will cover our costs. So I'm not uncomfortable if making it simpler is the way to do it for the first year, and then see how that works.
It seems like a good idea, since it's a new program, to make it simpler. It's one less thing for the employee who's spending only part of his time managing it to manage.
And when we say making it simpler, do we mean just cutting out the occupancy?
I would say just
right?
pick one number.
Yeah, just pick a number and
Yeah.
do it. Yeah,
So,
sounds good.
so I was figuring 225 rentals, I think times 175 is the 39,375. We could probably do 179 and get us to 40,000. Or 180.
Sounds like a political
Yeah.
compromise.
225 times 180
Well,
gets us to 45,000. Almost 46,000, 45,900,
so what are you saying, how much it would be?
$180.
But why are we, as opposed to what?
A different, a fee for whether you're living there or not, a fee for a guest. None of which is based on how much people are actually charging per night anyway, it's just a guess. And it's a registration fee, it's not I mean, we could base it on the total, we could have passed another 1% tax or something like that, or taken part of the community impact. Then it would be based on how much money they made, but we can't do that with this fee, so it would just be a registration fee like any other.
I was comfortable with this, but the point that it makes it just easier for staff. And it collects the same amount of money. Doesn't bother me.
I mean, I guess, seeing that, well, first of all, I want to make sure we cover our costs. So, I think what you had estimated with the $40,000. So, are we thinking 350 across the board? Just
No, 180 gets us to $40,000.
$40,000. I think that's worked for it. I haven't checked this out.
well, can we just
Calculate.
round it up to 250 and just?
That's a
call
big
it a day?
round. It's a lot more
Well,
money.
I mean,
If we're after 40,000, 180 gets us to, I thought it was 56, I could look again. 22,
well,
225 times 180 is 40,500. So that gets us to that's the number that gets us to 40,000, which was the goal.
If there is the 220 Airbnbs.
Right.
Register.
Right, so that's what we can tweak in the future. Plus, we'll know what our costs are. I can do a motion if you
well,
want.
I would be more comfortable meeting halfway and maybe going for 250, just knowing that there will be people, that the average rate is, 350 to 450 a night. And, I agree that maybe it's easier to have a across the board.
If what we're after is raising $40,000, this does it. Right, that was the goal, getting $40,000. This is the simple way to do it. Although anything else looks like we're actually doing a community impact fee and trying to recoup money from people who are bringing more people in, which the community impact fee does.
No, I think the point of the present, this executive summary was to try to balance off the people who rent a mansion as opposed
Right.
to people who rent one bedroom. And so, but in the same result, when you think about it, Eric's point, that, you know, it's our first year, we have a part-time person doing it who has a full job. That maybe this makes more sense and it gets us to our end product just as well.
I'd like
So-
to make a motion.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna,
Well, I like that.
yeah, go ahead.
Why is he concerned about the easy? Let's make it easy now. It sounds like we're making it easy now, which is fine. I don't think we can make it harder later. We're gonna make it difficult, do it, start. No one wants to be easy and then turn into something complicated, which it sounds like what it might happen. I think we do, if we're gonna do anything, we're complicated first and easy later.
It'll be another board that'll have that decision to make, because they can always change it. But, I get your point, sir.
I guess I was just gonna say, just throwing out another compromise is if we just. You know, staff put down 100 for each, we just call it 200. Just 200 for a registration fee.
That's 45,000. Probably not, that's fine.
Just putting that out
Can I
there.
make that motion?
I'd like to make, actually, after the motion first.
I did first. Last.
One of you make a motion. please.
I'd like to make a motion that we charge a fee of, a registration fee of $200 per Airbnb.
I'll second that.
Just change that to short-term rental.
I'm sorry, short-term rental.
Discussion.
I would like to see it at 250.
Anyone else?
Yes, you can tell me if I'm incorrect. I don't know for sure. Is there any problem making a little extra money, using that money as free money, if you will, or putting it somewhere else where it can be used? If because we make a little extra money, doesn't mean it's a terrible thing or something we shouldn't be doing.
We are getting 3% of all the rental fees to go towards affordable housing, to go to affordable housing trust. So we're doing that already. And yeah, this brings in 5,000 more than the last proposal that town had in the recommendation.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
So abstaining.
Abstain?
No.
And opposed? So it passes 3-1 with one abstention. Okay, you will be receiving the town manager's annual evaluation. And it will be due on the last day of the month, last day of January. And then it will be on probably the end of February, it'll be on one of the meeting agendas, either end of February or early March. So you have plenty of time to fill it out. Okay. Citizen speak now. Go ahead, Michelle. Michael Wise, I'll get you second.
Michelle Rivera, 70 Division Street. I attended the December, virtually, I attended the December 19th select board meeting where special permits were approved. And the special permits were read, just read. I've been through this several times before. I was very concerned when one special permit was approved. And it's a company in my area that's had numerous complaints.
Excuse me, you don't mean the special permits, you mean the license, the annual
The
license renewal?
license side,
Okay,
thank you,
sure.
Ed, for clarifying that. So in any event, there was one business in our area that's had complaints against it, yet its license was approved. I raised my hand after the vote was taken. I had actually had my hand raised. It wasn't recognized because it was being read. The vote was taken, then I was recognized. I actually watched the meeting 2 to 3 times to double check that. This is more a procedural suggestion, much like annual town meeting, when something's brought forward, a hold can be called. When the licenses are read, if a citizen can say hold on a particular license. So that is flagged that there may be a discussion on it. But again, I was a little disturbed that I know I've had a meeting with Mr. Paransky regarding this company. And this board just approved the license. There was no discussion at all. Yet I have all these rules and regs that
one of which was just discussed tonight, who I can have stay at my house. And so, we really gotta balance this out here. I'm seeing, I've been attending these meetings for a long, long time. And I'm seeing a real imbalance going on. I'm really, that I only going to speak for my neighborhood. I'm seeing what's going on in my neighborhood with no apparent enforcement, oversight, nothing. Yeah, I'm going to be told a company's gonna be regulating who stays in my house, and I don't like it. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. And thank you for making the suggestion for the fee the way it is. I have no problem paying a fee if I do a short-term rental. This is part of our retirement plan, which is gonna be impacted heavily by this bylaw that's going through. Even though there are select board members who seem to think they know how much money my husband and I are going to need to retire on. So I'm not happy about this at all, but if you're gonna do it to me, do it to other businesses in my neighborhood as well. My second point is the Division Street Bridge. Cars are routinely running the red light on the Division Street Bridge as frequently as 11:44 a.m. yesterday morning. So this is becoming a regular occurrence. Cars are seeing the bridge, lights red, they don't see cars on the other side, and they gun it. Yesterday morning, I happened to be behind one of them. Something needs to be done about that, as well as speed monitoring on Division Street. Speed is far exceeding what's posted on Division Street. As cars come from Taft's to go over the bridge, they go up the hill, on the curb, dead man's curb, my driveway's right there, and then they floor it. So at the very least, I'd like to see the speed checker put in on that area, because I'm going to be coming out of my driveway and I'm going to get plowed into. I saw a neighbor backing out of theirs and there was a narrow miss. So this, I don't know if there are cameras on those lights on the bridge, but it's ridiculous. As a matter of fact, a coworker said that he was driving down and he says, cars are running the red light on that bridge. I said, yeah, I know. I've told the town about this and nothing's being done. We now have 5 new police officers. Let's get some more police officers on Division Street before someone gets hit, a runner, a walker, or another car. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Michael Wise.
Thank you. 2 quick things. I believe that last fall you folks had a discussion about the residential exemption. And Ross said he was going to get back to you with some ideas in December or January. I'm not seeing it on the agenda for tonight. I assume that Ross will be reporting to you at the end of the month. Also, I know that the issue of the coverage of rentals has come up, and this will require state legislation. I'm going to be meeting with Smitty next week wearing another one of my hats, and I'm going to bring this up with him. And if he has a positive reaction, I will report that to you folks as soon as possible.
I don't understand.
What was the topic, Michael? You got blurred out.
The residential exemption.
No, the second one.
The second one, whether we need state legislation to authorize extending the exemption to rental properties occupied by full-time residents.
Okay, thank you.
This is something which would be up to Smitty. I'm going to talk to Smitty next week about some other things, and I will bring this up.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other public comment? We have select board time. Garfield?
Yes, and I wish I had asked earlier. I apologize.
Could you just, let someone put their hand up?
Oh.
I would ask people to put their hand up ahead of time, so we don't have to continue to go back. Maureen Meyer?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is Maureen Meyer of 11 George Street. I was disappointed and shocked to hear how high fees you were considering for registration. If you have time to do a little math, you could think about it this way. This is how I thought of it, right? Let's go back to that. Maybe $30,000 comes in from short-term rental that I do at my place. Right now, on that money, I'm paying the state $1,700. I'm paying the town 1,800 because the town takes a little more than the state. And that's just for regular occupancy, right? The town has put a 3% fee on that. Another 900. I'm paying the town 9%. If I put the fee on the way that you sketched it out, I realized that's not what passed. Then I'm over 10% on what I'm paying the town. That seems like a lot. That's $3,075, and I'm paying $4,500 in real estate. You know, it's just, wow. I thought that the registration fee was more or less for a head count, you know, and I was expecting, you know, $25 for somebody who does it with 1 room or 2 rooms while they're there, and 50 for somebody who does their whole house. I don't, it's feeling, you know, a little bit punitive. You know, you've already limited how many nights I can do, limited the overall money I can bring in, and now I feel like you're considering adding too much to that, you know, and I need to ask you to think about that. You know, people who are doing Airbnb are part of our community. And, you know, all of us lived through a vote where we have accepted the limits. I voted for the 3% impact fee. I believe that I should contribute to that. But I do have to say, I think the registration fees just are way out of hand and out of line. It's really all I have to say on it, and just was very disappointed and thought you all should know that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Garfield, go ahead.
Right. I wanted to ask them about the school, what's going on with the program, if they're still moving forward with the vocational aspects and joining the 2 schools, where that's at.
So the regional school district planning board is meeting, right now, I think we're meeting twice a month, not counting subcommittees, which are meeting more often. We are working on a regional school district agreement, which we are in the middle of, I would say. That takes just a lot of work. The finance subcommittee of the regional school district planning board is meeting quite often to try to hammer out some sort of an agreement for the full board to vote on. The one thing we have agreed on is representation. If this passes, Great Barrington would have 3 people on the board. Sheffield would have 2, and every other town would have 1. But so it's going ahead. The hope, and I think it will happen. We'll have a vote sometime in the spring of all the towns. So yeah, they're working very hard on it. We just got a grant from the state for $125,000 to continue this work. Otherwise, we would have to come back to the towns to ask for more money, which towns have been very generous about. So yeah, it's just going well. It's a lot of work.
Is there anybody holding back? They're holding back the whole process?
No.
Someone's not, okay.
No, but it is a 24-member board.
Yes.
Good luck with a 24-member board. You know, that's how it's by law. That's the size of the board. It's 3 from every town. There are 8 towns. But, you know, there are people with concerns and those have been expressed, but I think the process is going well. We have a really good, Jake Epperwein has done a really good job as our consultant and his team. And Lucy Prashkar, who's the chair, has done a very good job. So it is moving ahead, and it is a lot of work, but I think it will come to fruition to a vote in the springtime. As far as CBTE or vocational, the school district is looking at getting 6 certified programs in the new school building. That process is, we're meeting monthly on that, and we're a ways away. The first part of it, we're in phase 1. This is a very complicated process. We're in phase 1. Phase 1 is going well. We're probably a little ahead of schedule, but what you may not realize is the school district now has a vice principal who's just in charge of CBTE. So that there is someone who's running the show. Mentoring and vocational programs. So it's going well. That'll eventually come to a vote of the 3 towns. But that's a little ways off.
May I ask a follow-up to that?
Yeah, of
It's not my turn yet. The vote in the spring, is that a town meeting vote or a ballot vote?
I believe it's going to be a ballot vote.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
One other thing, I just thought, I don't know if this is the appropriate time for it, but we can certainly let me know. I just happened to catch the last part of some 22 News, which comes out of Springfield, but Greenfield, I don't know if we've even set it up yet for our public bathrooms, but they have just, again, I only caught the end. The mayor of the town, I guess, had set aside $200,000. The public bathrooms are designed that they look nice. There's enough room for a changing station. They're also designed so they won't persuade or make it easier for someone who has a habit to do drugs. It makes it you can't find your vein. So I just don't know if we have set this up yet. I don't mind looking into and finding out what's going on in Greenfield, what the cost, etc. But it sounded pretty good and it looked pretty nice. I know we're talking about having.
So that I would assume Joe will come back to us because we have not approved the outside plans yet, and the bathrooms will be part of that. So Joe will be coming to us with that. So if you want to bring information to Joe, that would be appropriate.
I do.
Eric?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
And I have nothing. Media time, Sean. From the Berkshire Edge, go right ahead.
Good evening. Hello and happy new year to everybody. Sean
New Year.
Isaacson from the Berkshire Edge. Mark, I sent you an email a few weeks ago and I've not heard a response from you yet. So wondering if you got your email that I sent her or not.
Yes, I did get your email and I'm happy to connect with you. It's been an incredibly busy couple of weeks with collective bargaining negotiations, prepping for the budget and the holiday reports.
Okay, I understand. And that was my only question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other media? Seeing none, by unanimous consent, we are adjourned.